we have to remember that your first few videos going out there, no one's really going to see. So they are the perfect stories to tell that will give you the confidence that you can fluff up and you can stutter over, and you might not edit to the perfect nth degree and things like that. But what it's about is giving you that confidence and showing you what's involved, not being afraid to use your hands when you talk, but to engross and bring in the audience, is sitting the right way to do a podcast for you or a video for you. Are you better standing? Are you actually better walking around outside? Use your hero origin story to trial all of those, because not many people are really going to see it, despite what you tell yourself.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Value Whispering podcast. I'm your host, Melitta Campbell, your business coach and value whisperer. And on this show each week, we discuss value whispering, the smarter way to market your small business without being loud or pushy. And it just happens to be brilliant for introverts. Each week on this show, I share the simple, practical steps that grow your business in a way that aligns with your values, your vision, and your energy, so you can make the impact that you care about without burning out or compromising on your integrity. Using my tools and insights together with your brilliance, you'll turn your unique value into clear words, calm marketing, and a meaningful sales process that you can deliver with confidence. And as you do, you'll naturally start to attract more of the right clients and opportunities into your business and enjoy steady growth. Today, we're exploring something that many thoughtful entrepreneurs wrestle with: showing up on video. If you've ever felt too visible, too awkward, or simply unsure about where to begin with video, I think you'll find this conversation reassuring. I'm joined by video podcast expert Rachael Bryant, who shares her down-to-earth ways to make video feel comfortable, simple, and aligned with how you naturally communicate. She shares why your story is your strongest starting point and how one conversation can fuel 50 pieces of content, and how you can remove the pressure to perform that often comes with being on camera. And if you're looking for support to bring a more values-aligned marketing flow into your business, you can download for free the first chapter of my upcoming book, Value Whispering, the smarter way to market your small business that just happens to be brilliant for introverts. You can find that at melittacampbell.com/chapter. It gives you a helpful foundation for showing up in ways that feel natural, including through video. Meantime, let's dive in and meet Rachael. Hi, Rachael. It's great to have you with us on the show today.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, me too. And it's perhaps maybe a little bit of an unexpected topic for a show about marketing strategies that are introvert friendly, is being on camera, creating video. But there actually is a lot of upside to doing it. So we'll dive into all of that, because I know you're an expert in video creation and podcast videos in particular as well. So I think we've got lots of great advice I'm going to mine from you.
Have it. You can suck it all out of my head. That's not a problem.
Brilliant. But before we get to that, I would love it if you could share a little bit about your story with the audience. So how did you get to be doing what you are today? And you've had quite an interesting background, because I know you started as a policewoman.
Oh, yeah, I've had a very, I like to call it eclectic past. I think I've always destined to be in business. I actually left school trying to start my own business, and I was a beauty therapist. And then unfortunately I got ill, and then like you do, you turn around and go, I know what I'll do. I'll join the police force. So I sort of randomly jumped onto that one, and I absolutely loved my time in the police. When I had children, there was a couple of instances, the normal near-death experiences, all that fun. And it kind of reevaluates your brain as to like, well, do I want to nearly die when I've got children? Not sure I do. So at that point, Ben, who is my husband, was a stay-at-home dad. He had a part-time job, but ultimately it worked around my career, and he got into photography. So I said, well, I'll leave the police. You start up your business. And alongside that, I then started an events company. And that was where our journey into photography and then videography sort of stemmed. Obviously, when COVID came along, that all disappeared overnight because we were doing weddings and all of that side of things and was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We built some amazing relationships with businesses as well when we were running functions and events. And we had the opportunity to work with Coca-Cola down in Sidcup on their factory. And they said, could you create us a COVID safety video for people coming to the factory, our workers, and that side of things. And there was a cybersecurity company that said, well, we're all hybrid workers now. People need to know how to set up their laptops at home, cameras, audio. We need to create a video that is concise. It's the same. Everyone understands it. Can you do that? So that's what we then sort of did. And then through COVID, we were like, hang on, there's a market for video in corporates here. So we completely transitioned the business to just working rather than having three businesses, because we also had a cleaning company as well. Rather than have three businesses, let's just have one focus. And your video team was born out of that.
Yeah, great story. So you started doing the videos for corporates, but now you also do, or do you only do video for entrepreneurs?
So through the corporate side of things, we were then like, hey, let's start a podcast to tell people about our story and our journey. And we're going to be the next Stephen Bartlett and we're going to be millionaires. And yes, let's do this. And it absolutely flopped. We were like, oh, hang on, what's gone wrong there? Why did we do that? So we kind of fell down this wormhole of podcasting. And we used to listen to audiobooks and everything while we were cleaning and while we were setting up functions. So we knew the world of audio, but we also really love video because it just builds such a connection with people to see them, you know, physically, their emotion, that passion, that love for things. And we were like, how can we do podcasting but with a video format? And we was like, we'll just film it. So that's what we started to do. We dove into that world. And then we looked at, well, what else can this do for you? So people are struggling with marketing. They don't know where to start. Is it socials, emails, blogs? Like, it's just a minefield. And when you're either a solopreneur or a small business still trying to grow, knowing the right way is hard. And especially trying to create all those different pieces of content in one go. So what we've created is creating a 30-minute conversation could actually bring you over 50 pieces of content. So sit back, have your conversation about what you love, and then turn that into all of that marketing that you want to get out there, but whilst doing exactly what you do love.
Yeah, exactly. And I think video, as you say, it's so good for connecting with people because you can't fake who you are when they can
No.
see you. It's like speaking on stages, only that's not, there's only a limited number of stages. And for example, I live in the Swiss Alps with a family and a dog. So getting out and traveling the world isn't necessarily so easy, but creating a video from my office here, that's so easy and it's cheap as chips. There's no big outlay for that. But then, as you say, you can then repurpose that video in so many different ways. And now I'm going to challenge you.
Oh, God.
You said you can repurpose it 50 different ways. Can you share some of those ways with us? Like, what could you do with a video?
Yeah, so a prime example would be something like a stat. So one of the stats we use is that 90% of podcasts don't get past episode 3. Of the ones that get past that, 90% more don't get past episode 21, which actually means that if you get past that, you're in the top 1% of podcasts. Well, that's a great video. So there you go. There's me talking to camera. But that also now is, or can be turned into a blog where I talk more into that, into why people don't get past that stages, what the blockers are, things like that, and really delve into it for those that want to read up more on it. I can turn that into a quick carousel so you can swipe through those facts. Just literally have wanna be a 1% podcaster, follow these tips. So all of a sudden, that one fact alone could be 3 or 4 different pieces of content that I've got out of a conversation.
Yeah. And if you're having a podcast, you're going to be sharing more than one fact. So that's when you can break that down into several pieces for social media, email, whatever. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. There's going to be so many different sound bites. And also the amount of businesses we come across who talk to us and say, I'd love to do a podcast, but I'm boring. Or my business is like accountants. They always love telling us how boring they are. Now we have we have an incredibly successful podcast that we actually produce that are bookkeepers. And the stories like that, I think we're just releasing one about what they find when they get given like receipt boxes, the things they find in it. You're like, ugh, do people not check themselves? And all of a sudden those stories become like relatable because other bookkeepers are like, oh my God, yes, I found this in a box of receipts, or I found a receipt for. And then they're also mums in this particular case. So they talk about how, they've been working from home, come to the door, not even thinking, open the door for the postman, and they're breastfeeding. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And they've had those moments that, again, other parents can relate to when you're on a call and you get the screaming, um, you know, animals, how often they get involved. And all those things make you relatable. And people go, oh, and also aspirational. People aspire to be like others. And actually, they see that you can do that whilst all those real life hurdles come along the way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And we had Jane Travis on the show recently talking about blogging, and she was saying that, when you're creating a blog, you don't have to do lots of research because everything is already in your head. Your best strategy is to share you and your experiences because they're relatable. So when it comes to planning, and I'm assuming it's the same with a video podcast or any video content, that yes, you can bring in some stats and things, but a lot of your content you already have through your lived experiences and what's worked and hasn't worked. And often the things that haven't worked, like you just shared, are the moments where we had those breakthroughs that taught us what does work. And that's really valuable for people as well. So it's relatable and it's valuable. Are there any other concerns you've seen people have about starting with video or knowing where to start with their content creation?
I think the hardest thing people have is the consistency. Like, how much time is this going to take? What dedication have I got to have to this? And it's not about the more content, it's about how you can reutilize the content. Because, like I say, a half an hour conversation, split that into chapters, into like key points. So if you've had 5 main takeaways within that conversation, well, there's 5 mini videos. So we're looking at, and again, turning those into, well, one's a blog, one's a newsletter, all those things. So actually, the amount of commitment involved is really not a lot because, like you said, all the knowledge. You'll get a lot out in half an hour. We're going to get so much content out of this in half an hour that actually you'll be spoilt for content.
Yeah.
Um, so what, one conversation gets you 50 pieces of content. So imagine having 2 of those conversations and then 4. So it's not hard to jump on a call for 30 minutes and say, hey, can we just have a call? I could call you up and say, look, I want to make some content, but I'm also struggling to talk to an inanimate object that is a camera. Can we have a chat? Because I know we can talk, that I can then respectfully edit you off. And then I've got all these videos that I'm going to then cut up and splice and make my content from.
Yeah. And sometimes it's quite nice for someone to ask you a question and then just have your response. And I've had a couple of people that have been on the show that have repurposed the video for their own content that way, where I've asked the question and it's got their response. And it makes them, well, they are an authority, or I wouldn't have them on the show, but it really positions them in front of their audience that way as well. So it looks really good. So yeah, I love that idea.
It's a privilege to be invited onto someone's podcast. Like when you invited me, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm worthy. Like, oh my God, like this is so exciting. And I genuinely feel like that because I'm taking up your time, your audience's time. But like you say, actually, like giving back as well. Like, I'm now going to, as much as I can, whatever I get from this, that you create me. But if I can take anything and then create more, I'm going to credit you. I'm going to say like, thank you so much. And then that also respectfully puts you in front of my audience. And as much as that might not be huge, if it helps one person say, I need that in my life, I need Melitta, like that's what they're going to do. And that's my value paid back for what you've offered me. I think that's really important.
Yeah, the collaboration element of this kind of video format is huge, and there's so many interesting things you can do. But I don't want to dive into that right now because I want to stay on the subject of video before we go off on a tangent. Are there any core pieces of video content that you recommend people start with? Like, for example, I've heard you talking about the hero origin story. Is that a piece of core content you recommend people create? And if so, what is a hero origin story? Where do you start with that?
So hero origin stories are basically your starting point where you've come from. In our case, it's obviously myself and Ben. So we talk a lot about our story together, but we also have our own stories. As I've explained today, my story of being a beauty therapist and a police officer, that's my personal story. The reason we call them hero origin stories is we're very comic book and nerdy based, and that's all our branding. So that's what we call them. But they're really important because actually it's the most comfortable conversation you can have because you know your story. And we have to remember that your first few videos going out there, no one's really going to see. So they are the perfect stories to tell that will give you the confidence that you can fluff up and you can stutter over and you might not edit to the perfect nth degree and things like that. But what it's about is giving you that confidence and showing you what's involved, not being afraid to use your hands when you talk, to engross and bring in the audience, is sitting the right way to do a podcast for you or a video for you? Are you better standing? Are you actually better walking around outside? Use your hero origin story to trial all of those because not many people are really going to see it, despite what you tell yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And we were saying earlier that often people think, oh, what I do isn't that special. I'm a bit boring. If people are feeling that way, it's like, well, I'd love to do a hero origin story, but I'm not much of a hero. I just do my little thing over here. Is there any advice you have to help people start shifting their thinking there a little bit?
It's definitely about, so get people involved, right? Like, I didn't really think we were heroes of video. We love doing what we do. So we built a business around it. And then when we go out and network and tell people and talk about it, we're like, hang on a minute. People really are interested as to how we do that. So invite people in for conversations, like invite them in and say, do you mind if we record this? So actually that camera becomes an inanimate object. It's actually becomes a fly on the wall, more documentative style video for you because you're not concentrating on an inanimate like person. You've got a real person there. If you're more inclined to want to still do this one-on-one and talk down the barrel of the gun, as it were, then don't talk to the masses. Who is that one person you're telling? Who's that excited? Is it earlier format of you who was excited to get into accounting and bookkeeping or excited to get into, talking on stage and or whatever the business is that you think, or, who have we spoken to lately? Property. They're like, who finds property exciting? Most people just want to know what's the price of the house going to be, boom. And I'm like, yeah, but people are also intrigued as to how you got to the price of the house. Where
Yeah.
does that come from? Why am I about to pay hundreds of thousands of pounds for this item that, I know what I want it for, but why am I going to pay that price? How have you got there and why am I going to pay that? It's interesting format. And actually, also, was it your decision or is the reason the price is the price that you're charging or the outcome and the ROI is the ROI is because of the decisions around that force those on you? So is it a government decision? Is it, another one we had recently was about shipping costs to the UK from Australia. But weirdly, he's now struggling with that because of what's going on in the US and it's affecting his. And we were like, really? But it intrigued me. As
Mm.
much as it was a bit of a whinge and a moan, I was invested in that. I wanted to know why. And it's amazing what people will find interesting that you think, well, it's just everyday life.
Yeah, exactly. I think just maybe channeling that toddler and to
Yeah.
say why can help you like drill down into some of the really interesting aspects of what you do. And I've worked in journalism in the past, and yeah, I've never met someone that hasn't got something really interesting about who they are, what they've done, what they do, their background. There's so many interesting things. We just don't realize it. But yeah, great tips. Thank you.
Of course. And simplicity is another one. Like it's a really hard one to do because you'll always think that the audience you're speaking to. So like when Ben talks about cameras, he talks about f-stop and ISO. And I'm like, what? Like, Ben, what is this language? And then when you get him down to explain it, he's like, it's just about how much light that the camera will let in. So are you going to be silhouetted? And I'm like, there you go. I can understand that now. So we often set ourselves a task, and we've done it before where we've actually taken our 10, 11-year-old son with us and said, explain your business to a 10-year-old. And watching people's faces go, oh, well, I do SEO. We're like, okay. And he goes, well, what's that? Because he's not afraid to ask those questions. So what's SEO? Okay, search engine optimization. Well, what does that mean? And he just goes, why? Why? Until he goes, okay, yeah, I get it. Because actually, there'll be a 30-odd, 40-year-old, 50-year-old that goes, oh, thank God he asked that.
Yeah, exactly. But as we get older, we don't like to say, sorry, I don't get that. I don't know what that is. We have a bit more pride that we won't reveal misunderstanding, and that doesn't help you. Yeah. I remember years ago, I used to do a perfecting your pitch session once a month for my community. And during the school holidays, I got my 12-year-old to come and listen, and she would give feedback. It's like, didn't understand a single word you said. I really like the color of your nails. She
And
came
that's
back,
it.
yeah, but there was very few that she understood. And then we got them to re-explain it until she's like, oh yes, exactly what you were saying. And it was so good. Yeah. Shame she had to go to school. That would be a brilliant part of my business.
Yeah, yeah, we do the same. We've taken him to a few networking events, like evening networking, and gone, right, and he sets up in the corner and he goes, explain your business to a 10-year-old. And he ended up having a feature on our podcast at one point where we would put those interviews in and people are like, okay. And then he goes, and what would be your superpower? And he asks them what they'd be. I'm like, cool, well done, bud.
Yeah, great question. So we've talked about the benefits of doing a video and that we can repurpose it. People get to know us as a way of building our brand, and we don't necessarily need to worry too much at the beginning because no one's watching. However, it can still feel really awkward and cringy. Have you got any advice for people who are like just really digging in their heels and they don't want to try it because it just feels so awkward?
If I'm honest and do myself out of a job here, I could say maybe video isn't for you, but also what I'd say is maybe look at guesting then, if that's your breakthrough. So finding people you can work with. Don't do it alone. Like I remember this time last year, like I love speaking to people. I love getting up on stage and talking. But blow me down, if you stuck a camera in front of me, I couldn't string a sentence together. And I don't know why. And it took me actually sitting and working with Ben and going, right, we're going to tag team this. We're going to duet all of our videos that we do. Let's do them together. And that's what we did for a period of time. And majority of the time we still do. But now I've got that confidence of going, I don't need you. But today I was like, oh, I've got this. And he's like, what? And I'm like, no, I don't need you. You're off on your own. Like, oh, this is my podcast today. And he's like, oh, okay. But those moments have now, because I'm like, I can do this. So maybe duet or like group conversation, like start there. What can you do? Can you get a collaboration of people in the same industry? And that's what you talk about. Could you, get someone in an opposite industry and you cross over why and how that works? What is it you're trying to get across on video? So then work the situation where you are feeling comfortable.
Yeah, and I think that works so well, especially when it comes to a sales video that you want to do. I know I did that for a friend of mine. She wanted to talk about her program, and she is not at all shy. She's this outgoing Brazilian lady. loves being on the camera, loves being on stage. But when it came to talking about her business and a new offer that she had, it felt really, really awkward. So I offered to interview her. So she was just responding to the questions, and I was posing questions that I thought her clients would have. We had a big discussion about that before. And then it felt so natural. And because she was talking to me, it didn't feel so salesy. It felt more like a conversation. And so, yeah, it worked brilliantly for her. And that's where I started with this podcast actually as well, was interviewing guests because I was so scared about doing it. I knew I wanted to do it, and I knew this is the thing that's going to help me like keep pushing my comfort zone so I don't retreat and just hide behind my computer the whole while. But it was episode 190 that I pivoted the show and I made the decision, right, every other episode is just going to be me. I've kept that up for 18 months now, and I'm feeling really proud of myself.
Yeah, that's
I was chatting with
amazing.
someone yesterday that, no, you need to do more solo episodes. And I have to admit, on YouTube and the audio, it's the solo episodes that get the most watches and listens. So I'm trying to embody that information to give myself the courage to do more. But it's all in stages. You know, you don't have to go on and be like Oprah from day one, as you
Oh
were saying
gosh, no.
earlier. No one's looking. Do whatever feels comfortable, it sounds like, and keep growing as you grow. Yeah.
Yeah, I implore you, like I said, our first podcast completely flopped. They are still live. I implore you, go find them, go have a giggle, go have fun with those, because I look back and think, what were we think? How did we not know that was going to flop at the time? And it's just a bit of fun. Like, make everything as fun as possible, as enjoyable. I mean, I love that you did the interview with your friend. The the key there as well is when you ask a question, if you're being cut out of it, make sure that the answer has the question in it. So if you said, "What's your name?" I wouldn't just answer and go, "Rachel Bryant." I go, "So my name's Rachel Bryant, da, da, and what do you do?" So what my job is da, 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 da. I wouldn't just cut straight in and give short answers. I've got to elaborate on the question within my answer, so that Ben does it to me all the time when we go out live podcasting at conferences. I'll stand next to the camera, so they're looking at me, and I say, right, with every question I ask you, ask the question in the answer. And then when Ben comes to editing, he just cuts me right out. I'm not even in it.
Yeah, that's a brilliant tip to really help with that repurposing and for it to still be meaningful. I think that's one hard thing. When you start editing, you realize, oh, things weren't quite so complete and standalone as you thought. So you have
No,
to kind of, it makes the editing process harder. So yeah, that's a brilliant tip. Thank you.
of course.
And we talked that if you have video content, it's the ultimate type of content for repurposing, and there's a lot we can do. How can we create this content? Obviously, we can come to you and go to
It's
the pros and have it done beautifully. But for those people who aren't at a stage where that's a viable option for them yet, how do you suggest we do this and not go insane? Because I think you could probably fall down a whole like rabbit hole of like editing, over editing, getting everything perfect, and just going a bit mad over the whole process. Do you have any tips for getting the most, but still like safeguarding your energy and time?
Yeah, most Macs nowadays and most phones, the camera quality in those, and Ben hates me pointing out, is just as good as some of the professional cameras that are out there. Like, they are good, so utilize them. The key thing, even with video, is the audio. I've sat on a train before watching a video, and I'm trying to catch up on one of my shows. Probably should have been working, but whatever. Need to catch up and binge watch. And the screen goes a bit pixely and a bit glitchy, but I can still hear the conversation. At
Mm.
the point that conversation becomes a stutter and they're crackling and they're breaking, and I'm getting every other word, I'm off. I've switched off mentally and I'm out. So the audio is the key thing. Now, earpods are great, and so are the wired ones that plug into your phones. Our golden nugget, and it's under £100, are Boya mics, which have plug in direct to your phone. So yeah, so Boya mics, they plug direct into your phone and they're Bluetooth, and you normally get two with them. So you can have a conversation with someone. And also it allows you to do quite a wide angle. So you could be stood right back from the camera, get a full body shot. And actually the mic I'm using today with the stand is about £68, I think Ben said. So, this is a good quality mic and is picking up through, like I say, the camera and things today. The only thing we've done is branded our colour of our muff on top because we have to get branding in everywhere. But yeah, so simple, like that's an investment of under £100 and you're ready to shoot and go. And there are so many. I mean, CapCut's great for obviously editing. DaVinci now has so many free features that's also a really great editing tool that you can use as well. And then just look at what your goal is with that video and what you want it to do.
And I guess if you're repurposing, then it's going to save you time creating new content elsewhere as well. So as long as you're building it into your strategy and you say thinking about, well, what's my objective? So you're not just creating content just for the sake of it. It's all strategically going towards your marketing and building your business. Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Measurable ROIs, right? We need them across the board, KPIs, but however you call them, like make sure that there is an end goal and everything is aimed at that end goal. So a partner that we're working with at the moment, their goal for the year is to get people from their community into their paid membership. And they know that they need to get 7 people a week. And that seems achievable. Right? That's one person a day they've got to get into their paid membership. And all of the content going out has a subtle underline of that's where you need to be. You want this, you can join our community. You want it one-to-one, join our membership. All those things. Open the door for one, level up here. So everything's got that and the ROI is there so we can see people are going, I watched that video and I joined your membership. I watched that, I joined your community. I saw this piece of content and it did this for me. And they see that.
Yeah. So what's the best way to track that ROI? Will you see people like, how do you know if someone's watched a video?
So most of the platforms now will have all those insights for you. It's knowing how to read them. I mean, YouTube's really good at showing you this is where people clicked on. You can see how long they watched your video for. So it gives you what's called the retention rate. And then it will also give you if you got any subscribers from that. But in the show notes, you can have a unique link. So they've come from that video, watching that video. So think about when you create your links, although they might all lead to the same page, can they have a slight variation so you know which link was clicked that got them to that page, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. And then you can measure where your audience are coming from.
That's a great tip. In the good old days, when we used to do like advertising in magazines, we always changed the name at the bottom. So it's like, for more information, call Laura. For more information, call Rachel. And then according to who they said, the receptionist had a little score sheet and she would tick down and then we'd know which advert would come from. So it's the more technical version of that.
Yeah, and it's the same with QR codes, create unique QRs for wherever they are. We have a landing page like when we go to conferences, but we actually reprint like the poster so that we're like, right, this event was, we went to Atomicon last week, or this event was the Big Festoon, this event's Ideas Fest. So we know where we captured the most people and at what event we met them.
Ah, yes. Yeah, smart. And so you would mention there that you do events. So you create video podcasts at an event. How does that work?
So so we are completely portable as well. We have our studios down in Kent, which has people travel from all over the UK. I can't wait to say internationally, but we're not quite there yet. And that's wonderful. But when we go to conferences, we always found that the best way to tell people what we do is actually to show them. So we rock up and our stand gets turned into a full podcast studio. And now people actually hire us to come to their event and say, right, we want you here. So one we did in March, as I say, with Danny Wallace was the Big Festoon. And we rocked up with all our equipment, and we actually interview speakers, sponsors, guests, attendees, exhibitors. And it's an amazing way because, if the event's the correct event, it shouts out about, they're helping the people who are attending that event. Here's some added value, because if I interviewed you at the event, I'm going to contact you afterwards and go, here's that interview. And you go, wow, I went to an event, paid for my ticket, and I've now got a video. And in that video, it's going to say who you are, what you do, tell us a bit about your business. We always open with that. It's about you. And then we kind of spin it and go, so why are you here? What have you got? Have you been before? Have you been on any of the programs? So then inadvertently, you're now giving a live in-person review about the event you're at and boasting. Like, we had one of the speakers told us how she'd joined one of Danny's programs, and within a year she'd spoken on 4 stages, and it had helped her business so much she actually headline sponsored the event we were at. Wow. So, what an incredible piece of feedback and a recommendation for what Danny Wallace does in her programs than having someone there in the room tell us about it whilst the room is buzzing and everyone around is just feeling the vibes.
Yeah, that's great. And I guess in a way, it's doing what you were saying earlier. With each video, you're repurposing it 50 times, but this is a way of repurposing a live event almost.
Yeah, and it is exactly that. And, we've shared the video. Then say the Big Festoon shares the video. So you're now on 2 platforms. You're going to get the video. So you're now going to go, well, I'm not going to not share this. So between the 3 of us, we've all supported each other. We've all shared that video, and the viewership's going up. You're getting known about. And then, if you want, you can contact us and say, hey, look, I love my video, but I want content from it. What can you do? And we'll put something together and say, right, yeah, we can get this sound bites and these bits of content from it, facts that you gave us, whatever. Or you can go away and do that yourself. Like, we provide you the download so you can actually go away and edit anything else yourself.
Yeah, amazing. I guess video is just so many different ways you could use it that you probably haven't thought of yet. So
no,
it's great that you're leading the way and showing us what we can do.
Yeah, like I say, we're advocates of video, right? We love it. I just feel it gives you so much. Like, I feel like my passion is oozing across in relation into it. And you'll get that a bit on audio. If you see anything I've written, you will not get that at all from me, because it's not my forte. It's not who I am. I write too many words. I probably say too many as well, but I definitely write too many.
Yeah. And when you speak too much, it's different when you hear the intonation that someone has, as you say, that passion and enthusiasm. It doesn't feel too much. So no. It's just different, isn't it?
Yeah. The amount of emails, like when I have them cross-checked by our coaches and stuff, they're like, too many words. And that paragraph you've said twice more, you've just written it 2 different ways. I'm like, oh, sorry.
So when it comes to video, is there any way that we can use AI into that strategy? And I'm guessing, I did it once on the podcast. I had AI hosts to host the show. They were discussing my book, and it was quite scary how brilliant they were. But at the same time, everyone's feedback was that was brilliant, but we just didn't relate to them in the same way. So I can't imagine we're going to have a sort of Max Headroom situation where we're not going to be on camera. It's going to be AI avatar of us. That's going to be I don't know. I think that won't be relatable for the reasons we talked about earlier. But are there other ways we can use AI to help us create more content or do more with that?
Yeah, this is how we create our content, all those additional pieces, because blow me down if I'm sitting and listening to a half an hour long episode and I have the brain capacity to take every fact and everything out of that. At the time, obviously, when I'm in a podcast, all of this is great, and I'll know some facts that I came away with. I can't recall all of that to know all of that. So what I will then do is grab this transcript and I'll go put it in my trusted AI with a prompt that we've created, and I'm happy to share that like with you and your audience, and go, here's a transcript from a podcast I was on. Can you give me 50 content ideas that would help me that I've mentioned. And again, in the prompt, it's got, can you give me some blogs, templates? Can you give me email newsletters? Can you give me some social media content? And I give it that prompt and it goes, there you go. And I go, cool, thanks very much. And then I just look through and I go, wow, I really love that. What else can I turn that into? What else do I want to make from that? And I'll get that. And it'll give me everything I need to then level up and evolve that bit further.
Yeah. I've asked it to do like one thing, but I never thought of asking it, find me 50 things, like lots of blog posts and angles and social media content. I don't know why I never thought of that. That's
Well, I can help with that one. But the other thing is, as well as, probably giving too many secrets away, but hey ho, I love giving and helping, is think about things like your day. So look, always ask the questions and be specific with your AI with the transcript and say, can any of this relate to any of the seasonal days? World Mental Health Day, Mother's Day, something, because it might be there is one soundbite, fact, something in there that also then allows you to maybe repurpose this in 6 months' time. And what you could do is put that post out and go, so like I know I did a video for my sister about how she works for Wagamama and they celebrated Pride Month. And like then 6 months later, she was talking about the color blue and she was like, oh, so in Pride, blue means this. And so she repurposed the video she had done for Pride Month in November. And I was like, that's so weird, but it makes complete sense, right? And then all of a sudden her video had gone like peaked at the time, then did the normal slow settle down as other videos come along the way. And then all of a sudden November, it peaked back up again because everyone was like, oh, what was that video? I'll go rewatch that.
Mm.
And all of a sudden a viewing will put it out and algorithms love that, don't they? Because they're like, oh, what's this everyone's looking at? Let's push that out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So much great advice, Rachel. Thank you.
That's
Is
all
there
right.
anything?
Don't tell Ben I'm giving it all away.
Um, we've covered so much, you've given so much great advice. Is there anything you feel that we haven't touched on that the listeners would benefit from knowing to help them start embracing video a little bit more in their marketing strategy?
In the marketing strategy, I was going to say one bit of advice I would also say is that I think we spoke about the cringe and things earlier, is that make sure you surround yourself with a good network, right? So because it seems to be we'd have 100 great comments on a video and you get one bad one and that's the only one you see. So make sure you've really got a good support network. And at the point you have a troll, celebrate it. You've made it. Because if I'm worthy of having someone troll me, I'm worthy of someone's time to go, oh God, who is she and what does she know about video podcasting and why is she chatting this? Oh, I'm gonna write a comment about her. One, thanks very much. That's my algorithm helped because you've just written a comment on there, which means the algorithm says, oh, more people are commenting. But also on that is like you've taken time out of your day. So thank you. Because if one person can do that, there's 100 others out there that are also doing it for you. So don't worry about the trolls. Don't read them. Don't listen to them. But if you do see one, make sure you've got that good support network. And remember, marketing changes. So you say about how to help with marketing. I mean, don't be afraid to say, hey, it's changed now. Like what I said 3 years ago, what I said 6 weeks ago, the algorithm's changed, right? No one can keep up with that. So then go, yeah, so that's irrelevant or still relevant, but try it this way instead. Like we all learn, we're all learning all the time. We're all having to change. So be honest and change. Don't stick your feet in the ground. Don't stick your heels in because you'll get stuck back there.
Yeah, great advice to end on. Thank you so much, Rachel. If people want to know more about you and your video podcasting services, where's the best place for them to go?
The funnest place to go is Instagram. So you can find us on Instagram. You'll see all the behind the scenes bits. We're always sticking up stories and random stuff on there. And you can find us at YVT_UK. That is also our YouTube handle where you'll see all the conference talks we do. But personally, LinkedIn is my game. So yeah, just Rachael Bryant.
Brilliant. And you offered to share that prompt with people. So we'll add the link to how they can get that in the show notes as well. So you can find the show notes by going to melittacampbell.com/podcast. And if you don't see it at the top, if you're watching this episode a little bit later, there's a search bar there. So you can search for podcast or video, and that should find this episode for you. So Rachel, thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you. Love you all, and bye.
Thank you for joining us today on the Art of Value Whispering podcast. I hope Rachel's insights have shown you just how much easier video can feel when you stop trying to perform and instead start to connect with your dream client, and how your own lived experiences are more than enough to create content that resonates deeply with the right people. And if today's conversation has inspired you to bring more authenticity and simplicity into your marketing, I would love for you to download the first chapter of my upcoming book, Value Whispering, a smarter way to market your small business, to help you get started with that. You'll find it at melittacampbell.com/chapter. It gives you a clear, gentle framework for aligning your message with your strengths and building your visibility in a way that's right for you and that experience that you want to create for your clients. And if you'd like to continue this conversation, you can find me on LinkedIn or inside the Value Whispering Circle community, where we explore these topics with more depth and support. To join the club, go to my website and click the club tab at the top of the page. And remember, your marketing doesn't have to be about being the loudest. It's more about connecting in a way that feels true to you and saying the things that your dream clients are already listening for. I look forward to seeing you next time here on the show. Meantime, I'm Melitta Campbell, your business coach and value whisperer, and I look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday. Bye.